Greetings and welcome to the Healthy Sales Chick Show. I am Nancy White, the host of your show, and we're here to talk about our healthy mind, our body, and our spirit. And we need to nurture all three every single day, or one of those areas are going to start letting us know about it. And as my dear friend and founder of Win Win Women TV, Paula Fellingham, always says, we welcome you with open arms and open hearts. I have a question for you. Are your cells happy and healthy from head to toe? They might just need a little refreshing makeover. Here we love to talk about all kinds of different ways that are positive ways to nurture that mind, that body, and that spirit. And I have a beautiful guest tonight that I just am so grateful for. And the things that we're going to talk about, ladies, are going to be some things that you will learn and be able to put into practice forever. But our guest tonight is Melanie Trupp. It's Trupp, Trupp, Melanie Trupp. And she is a relationship expert. And she's also created the epic transitions. And we're going to learn more about that. But welcome, Melanie. I'm so grateful for you spending time with us.
Thank you. And I'm also really super excited to be here.
Well, we are going to have so much fun. But we're going to have a topic tonight. We're going to touch on a couple of different areas. Is how to be an observer of our own thoughts instead of being at the mercy of them. That's going to be a wonderful subject we're going to learn about. And then how our emotions affect our body. And a lot of us know that from firsthand experience. And then also having self love and able to express ourselves. Sometimes it's hard to find those ways, and there's also ways that are not always verbal. But just a little bit about Melanie. She is a seasoned counselor and relationship expert with 25 years of transformative experience. She has been working in this arena, and she does not look like it at all over 25 years. But she is also dedicated to empowering women on their journey to authenticity and also thriving relationships. We all have relationships, but they're all not thriving. Melanie holds the certifications as a certified hypnotist, master hypnotist, and hypnotherapist with 40 years. Again, she doesn't look like that at all. Of yogina and also dedication. She's also a 500-hour certified yoga instructor, and I absolutely love yoga. Discovered holy yoga 10 years ago. But Melanie is passionate about sharing insights on personal development, relationships, and well being. And we all need to have that mindset of well being, being well. As a certified hypnotist, she unravels the deep seated beliefs impacting behavior and decisions and offers holistic, tangible tools for empowerment and also transformation. Her expertise promotes and promises brief insights for conversations filled with actionable insights to enhance the intricacies of relationships. Melanie, with all your experience, and there's been quite a bit, what has brought you to this point over the years in your life?
Ah, That's so funny. I could give you more experience. I have too. I've got more credentials. My life has been a journey of personal development, personal awareness, exploration, acquisitive mind, and I've always wanted to know the truth. And I think what brought me is just simply at a young age, sort of getting thrown into a world that I felt I had no clue how to operate, being
Mhm.
traumatized by it, and put it in real simple forms. Finding my way out. I don't know if it was the universe who said, well, we're going to throw you in and you either sink or you swim and you're going to find your way out. And it's been a gift as much as it was, in the time, I think I don't know what was going on or whatever, but it's been a gift. But I think it's been my passion since day one. I can't even say that since a child. I don't know. I don't know anything other than what I do.
Wow, Melanie, that is fantastic because so many of us, me including, I mean, I was an inventor part of my time, a researcher for the government. So to hear that, that is incredible that you've been blessed so much to be on this journey and haven't had to have a lot of the other things that have been coming in and taking up your valuable time. So, Melanie, relationships. I mean, there's all kinds of relationships, there's marriage, self, children, all kinds of things, family, but you really, I believe, focus on women relationships and even more so on their relationships with themselves.
Yeah. Relationships, we're relating to something all the time outside of ourselves. And I mean, my work expands that far, but my focus just in recent time, because the divorce rate is so high, being a woman myself, being a mother, being a grandmother, having gone through relationships, failed relationships, I just think we're in a place of crisis where we've got so much going on. And if we don't have a solid understanding of our relationship, we'll blow it up with all the other tensions and stresses that are coming in. And I also see young people nowadays is like the divorce and the single parent do you know that there are more women in poverty as single parents than there are? That's the primary uh, source of poverty is women who are single parents. It's just like this is a crisis,
It
and if
is.
we don't get this together, we're just going to perpetuate it. And I was
It is.
talking,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
I
We're
was gonna say, I was
talking.
talking to someone else the other day, and I was saying, this should almost be mandatory in school. How to
Mhm.
understand how you relate to someone else, relationships. A lot of us just carry on what our parents did, or we do the opposite, or we just fumble our way through. We have,
Absolutely. Yep. And I was reading a statistic too the other day, Melanie, on that same thing that even the marriage rate is dropped to like 60% of what it was because people are just cohabitating and
yeah,
living together, testing out the waters and not committing and not, going in with that mindset that this isn't permanent. And so, but relationships and families, I was talking to a woman today and she is all about the family dynamic and helping the communication and going through those healing processes. And if we don't pass it on to the next generation, like single moms to their children, you're
yeah.
going to have to break that. Some people call it a curse or whatever, because that's where you're going to really be in trouble. But relationships. So, oh my gosh, we could just open this big old can of worms. it's,
Big
it's
old can of worms. It's huge. It's the ramifications of not understanding how it works and how we relate and what we're relating from our woundedness, from our belief systems, from our programming. If we don't really kind of understand, it's like if we don't get that, how can we change it or do anything about it? We're just fumbling around in a lot of ways, and sort of like it's a hope this one will work or that won't work, or this, or we blame or however. So it's, yeah.
And it is, and it's one person, individual at a time, too. I mean, you can teach and train groups and people, but each individual has to, be accountable. They have to take actions. They have to, be responsible for their choices and what they're bringing to the table, also. So, when you talked about how to be an observer of our thoughts instead of being or at the mercy of them, especially I can tell you for even experience too, at nighttime when you wake up and all of a sudden that click, 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 click starts getting going. And you're sitting there finding ways to release, to be able to receive that sleep that is so necessary. But also you and I've seen the anxiety and the depression and everything that comes up, and that comes from this computer between our ears. So how do you suggest and what have you observed also? And what are some things that you would help promote to be able to alleviate that?
Hey, well, one of the things that I've done is I spent 10 years in India, and I
Mhm.
would sit there meditating for more than 8 hours a day as part of my spiritual quest of who am I? This is after I've done all this other work. And I thought there's going to be more to that. So I would spend there meditating. And in a real simple way is we have a mind. We are
Mhm.
not the mind, we have a mind. And it's just about pulling back. And it doesn't happen overnight, but it's an ongoing thing. You spend 2 minutes and you just observe your thoughts. You don't judge them. You just step back and go, hmm. One of the funny thing is, in a lot of times, whenever we observe our thoughts, they kind of go quiet because they're almost embarrassed to be watched. And it's kind of fun to do that. But lots of time we don't step away. and nor do we step away from emotions. I have emotions, and we say we even verbalize it. I feel this. Well, who is the I that feels it? And when we can stand in that I feel this, I am not my emotions, I am feeling this. So it's sort of like I am experiencing this. But sometimes we get caught up because I feel this, therefore I am. So if I feel anger, therefore I am angry. And that is not true. I am experiencing anger, you know. And the same thing as these thoughts, as I am these thoughts are going by. It's like clouds, and we grab onto them, or we or just follow them along. And that's just the nature of the mind. It's like a monkey mind. It's all over the place until we actually just watch it. One of the neatest things after the 10 years of doing this and meditating very deeply and very strong is I moved out of the mind completely and totally. And there's a difference between what the mind thinks versus what you know. The I doesn't think, it simply is naturally, authentically responsive to a situation. It's not thinking. And that's it's kind of hard concept to get, but that's kind of like where we start. That's the thing, is we step back and we just observe, you
I
know.
love it. So it's just sort of like you become the audience
Yeah,
and you decide what you want to focus on. You
yeah.
decide what you want to entertain.
Yeah,
And
it's a choice. All of it has been a choice. It
Mhm.
always has been a choice. And
Mhm.
that's the whole thing. And I even look at it emotions. When the emotions rise up, we can just watch them come and move through our body and let them go. But sometimes what happens is we've got judgments on emotions. We don't like this emotion. We want to push that emotion away. We want to keep that emotion, and we're so attached to it. And it's just insanity at the deepest level. Um, and we are not what we are feeling. We are the experiencer. We are experiencing this, you
It
know.
is. And I will share sometimes, Melanie, with people. I'll say, you know what? We get to choose how long we want to stay bent out of shape about something.
Yeah,
I mean, we're in charge of that. If you want to have your pity party or you want to be, focusing or trying to blame game or whatever, we're in charge of
we
that.
are. We
When
are.
you give that power away,
Yeah.
that's when you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Through my work and my studies, I mean, when you understand it, it's simple, but it's
Mhm.
getting to that simplicity of understanding it. Because when we say, oh, I'm angry, and you go, well, you're experiencing anger, but when we're in it, like, to pull ourselves away is really hard. So if there's anything I can give to your audience, is start this learning when you're a little bit more calmer. Don't do it when you're already riled up. Is kind of just practice, practice, practice. And you just spend, even if it's short little 2 minutes at a time throughout the day, put a little timer on every hour for 2 minutes, stop, pause, just notice, what am I experiencing in my body? What am I feeling? What emotions am I feeling? What thoughts are going on? Is my mind racing? Is it doing this? And it may be nothing at the moment, but that's the funny thing, is when we look at our mind, it usually says, oh, I don't want to show you what I'm thinking, because we usually don't look at it. We don't observe it. We just let it run us.
I love it. So, well, when you were talking about that, how our emotions really affect our body, and even emotional things can really take a physical toll. And, the things, the stresses, and everything else. And we're being bombarded all the time. So, how are you helping to, again, those emotions to get them into control so it really does not have that physical effect on our bodies?
Okay, first of all, I never control my emotions. Okay. I think for me, the word control means I'm going to contain them and put them in. I
Mm.
think when we have learned to step back and we understand about triggers and where the emotion is arising from, and we can heal that, which, this emotion came from a past wound and I'm in a reaction and stuff like that. When we can do all of that, there is no such thing of having to control it. The only thing that we can do is we don't have to make action from those emotions. We can observe them, we can feel them, but we don't have to act them out. So we can take responsibility. I may feel angry, but I don't have to go punch the wall in. Okay, so I can feel anger, I can notice this anger, and I can actually work with it and go to the source. Where is it coming from, whatever the case may be, but I'm still accountable and responsible for what my action is. So I don't believe in controlling them, because I think for me that just means that I think whatever we control, we are afraid it will control us. So I'm not afraid of feeling all these wonderful emotions. And I liken it to, if we were in a room and it had soft things, hard things, wet things, dry things, and all that kind of stuff. But we said, I don't want to feel anything wet. I don't want to feel anything hard. I don't want to feel anything like this. How much room would we have to be in this room to go around? So our world is going to be full of all of these emotions, whether we like it or not. And
Absolutely. So do you think it's better to say that you are practicing on managing your emotions?
no,
No.
healing, most of our intense, strong emotions are coming from a trigger.
Okay.
Okay. Wherever we have to go underneath, what's the source of it? So we can feel this. Well, what's the source of that? What's really going on? Well, this. And then once we can get to the source, we can pull out, and it might have come from childhood. It could have come from a past experience, like a week ago, this happened, and so I'm reacting in case this happens again, or whatever. But when we can say, what's the source of this? It's never what is happening right here. Because right here, in all honesty, it's just happening. It's just doing its thing. So we're reacting to it. Why? Some people will, instead of responding to it, we're reacting to it. Why can't it just happen? So managing it is sort of like, I'd like to go even further than that. Instead of managing it, it's sort of like, if we did our work, there's nothing to manage. Yeah. I'm sorry, I go really, really deep in this.
Oh, no, no, I love it. That's what we're discussing, because
Yeah.
people don't stop STOP long enough to even acknowledge, to just to take an assessment of like where they are.
I've really noticed that, because as being a counselor for all these years, and I've had, clients come in and say they've had anger management, and they have a tendency to get angry really quick. So they've gone through whatever counseling they had, and instead they just zip it, but they're not going to do that. But inside, they're not healing it. So the anger is still there. That's a good step. Okay, I'm not going to go punch the walls. I'm not going to do anything destructive, or I'm not going to yell at a relationship and destroy it. That is a good step. But the better step is, you can go even further. Let's pull the root cause of it out. Okay, why is it this reaction all the time? Where is it really coming from? And generally, with my work as a hypnotherapist and hypnotist, is somewhere in there is something that has just locked in the unconscious, and we're reacting from an unconscious wound or something that has been triggered.
Absolutely. And women are so good at stuffing emotions, just stuffing emotions. Men are too, but women, we just, and that's why I love that you do yoga, because I mean, happy baby is one of the best positions to get rid of the emotions that we've stuffed and carry them in our thighs or our hips.
Absolutely, yeah. There's a lot of poses that will bring out a lot of emotions, because we actually carry emotions in specific parts in our body. That some of the training that I did, there's a John Kappas, which is a PhD, and I did a lot of training under him. And that's when a time came when we used to have organic language, and we go, oh, I'm so confused, I can't see straight. or all this responsibility on my shoulders. This was organic language. And so if clients will come in and they may have an ailment with their shoulders, or they may, they just, if we get down to the root, they just feel like they're carrying so much responsibility. So it plays havoc in our body, and it's compartmentalized in these organic spaces. And that's where our language used to come from. That's where I can't stomach the situation. Okay. So
And
all
now you
the
got a stomach ache.
or some digestive issue or something like that. And I've worked with a lot. And once we got to the root, that manifestation disappeared. I'm not toting, an amazing healer, because sometimes we have something we just have to work with. But there's always some things there that there's some correlation that if we don't look, sometimes they're just our body. It's kind of like saying, if you're not going to listen to that, listen to this. And I've met a lot of people who just simply, what I call, just left the planet. They're not even present. They're not in their body, and then sometimes the body gets a lot of disease, and it's kind of say, hello, would my owner please come back? How much pain do I have to get here? Please come back.
I love it. It's like, just like you said, where are you? It's like
Yeah,
one of
exactly.
Waldo.
And that's what I love about yoga too, because yoga gets us in tune with our body. It just sort of brings us into our body.
It does, and it makes you can't multitask. So if you're
No,
doing yoga, if you're just really, or focusing and stopping again and doing
sure.
that. So, in another area we were just going to touch, Melanie, a little bit on was, self love. What a great day today! Today just happens to be Valentine's
I
Day,
know.
and that has to be, loving yourself and liking yourself, and just, um, and for women especially, comparison is the fastest way to cause, disappointment, discouragement, and all these things. So when you talk to people about having self-love and being able to express it, because some people were raised and they never saw love, hugs, they never saw affection or whatever, and then they carry that into the rest of their life. But loving yourself, what would be an example of somebody that is really loving themselves?
I think when we are willing to love ourselves enough to be authentic, regardless of the ramifications that it might be, we have to put ourselves, that loving ourselves is to be genuine and authentic. And I think it even starts with the relationship that we have with ourselves, where they're really willing to listen to ourselves, where we're all, when we start doing that, and we spend that time and we make ourselves important, and we do that, we can start having the boundaries that we need. We can start having the life course that we need. And I think the byproduct of that is, when we love ourselves, we love the house that we live in, which is our body. I mean, that we can go from the outside in, or we can also go from the inside out, and both of them show. And I think the more that we love ourselves, the more that we release those emotions instead of holding them. We give ourselves space, we give ourselves compassion. We are wanting to nurture and heal ourselves. We are wanting to see what programming is inside ourselves, and we want to take out what doesn't work for us. We want to evolve. We want to become more aware. We want to just, grow and nurture ourselves. I really feel, and you notice that on my, and you said, oh, she doesn't look like it. But I notice when I look back at pictures when I was 17 years old, I swear, and so do people who look at the pictures, I look older at 17 than I do at my age now. And that was just the stress and the unhappiness and the constriction of who I was authentically, and I think, I remember I worked with a person. He gave me this amazing picture, and it was this picture of a bubble, and it was this hand pushing out, and he was trying to get himself out from this bubble of self-imposed, this is who you should be, and this is the limitations that you can be. And it was just so, it was a beautiful painting that he gave me. And he was a client of mine, and I've kept that. I could run and get it, but I don't want to go taking off from this show. But it's just that thing. And that's what depression is we are suppressing and depressing our authentic self. And our authentic self, it has only two ways to go. It's either going to bust out through, okay, or it's going to dwindle and die. You'll take the soul, you'll take the spark away, and you need to flame that and let it come up, and it purifies your body, heals your body. You know,
Yes,
I'm
and
super
so
passionate about that part.
absolutely, I can hear it in you. So when you're working and helping with people too, don't you know that that perceived fear of releasing is going to cause more hurt, more pain, more whatever? And it's not true. It's
No.
just, it's a lie. And there's so many
Well,
things that, we're
yeah.
being told, and or we tell ourselves, or we've heard or whatever before, Melanie. Um, and just helping people to release,
Yeah.
to be able to release and then receive something different, because nothing can stay in a vacuum. And so you have to, when you are getting things out, then you have to replace them with some things. But
Yeah.
um, so what are some things too that you think that you've heard a lot of from a lot of your clients that would be a practical tip, or something that you would love to encourage people in their, especially loving themselves, liking themselves? Is that where it really starts?
Yeah, and like you said, it's not true, but I also want to tell them sometimes it is true.
Hmm.
Sometimes those that are around you aren't going to like it. Because say if you've always been a mouse and you've never spoken up for your needs and you've never said what you want and you suppressed your feelings and you took what was given to you at the expense of, sacrificing what you wanted, maybe that person who's in your life and you come out of this and you say, I'm going to love myself, I'm going to give myself a voice, I'm going to do that. That person may say, whoa, I don't like this, because, and that comes in with relationships. We will mirror, where we are. So it doesn't fit anymore. And that's when that relationship may end because that dynamic doesn't work. So I don't want to fool someone saying just, oh yeah, it's this way, because sometimes it's not. But they also have to understand they're creating that, they're bringing that in because they are playing the role that fits this other person's dynamic.
Wow, you are just a wealth of knowledge, and we'll may have to have a second episode, a second
Love
segment.
it.
This is continuing on. So I know that you shared that you have some things, some wonderful gifts. What are those things, Melanie, that you would
I
love to?
do, because I'm so passionate about this. In my website, epictransitions.ca, I have 4 mini courses. They're about 7 days long, or it's a self-paced course. And one of them is on reigniting hope, and that's for fulfilling relationships. The other one is on finding your voice, and that is about being authentic and being able to express yourself. The other one is to overcome challenges and building resilience. Okay, so we got to push through those blocks where we're just sort of like keeping ourselves in behind. And the other one is clarity in relationships. Where am I? Where do I stand? And if we're especially in a crossroads of decision and we don't know what to do, and that clarity helps us to make that commitment to go forward in our relationship. So those are 4 courses, and I'm going to offer them out to all of your listeners here. I'm only offering one of each. So here's what you got to do if you want to do it. You need to write me at melanie@epictransitions.ca and say that you listened to Nancy White's show here with me as a guest, and that what course you look at them first, what course that you would like if I was to give that one to you free. Now I'm only going to give one of each, but there is a string attached. And that string attached is I would like your review on that you send me the review that you've taken the course. And I'm giving it, it's just amazing. The price of these courses, even though I'm giving it away free, is honestly the price of 4 cups of Starbucks coffee. Like, I'm giving it out to women because I know when we're in those places, we may not have the financial resources. We're single parents, we're doing all this stuff. But the point is the more women that can take it, it's going to change the world. the more we can do this, we become leaders, we help other people, it goes to our kids. I've got kids, I've got grandkids. It's so important.
It
So
absolutely is. And relationships they're not going to go away. As much as everybody looks at AI and looks at all these things, it's still relationships one on one. I knew our time was going to fly like crazy, Melanie. So I thank you again so much for your willingness to come and just give us a tidbit of your amazing wisdom, knowledge, and understanding about relationships. And I want to encourage everyone, go visit some of the other Win Win Women TV shows. We have got a wonderful group of amazing people to be able to sew into all kinds of different subjects. Go check out some of the other shows and come back next Wednesday, 7 o'clock, to the Healthy Sales Chick Show. And I would love to find out what you are doing for your self care, and especially so you won't have to depend on health care. But in the meantime, keep taking care of that temporary temple until you get your permanent maintenance free one. Thank you so much again for being with us. And we are so grateful for the time, Melanie, that you had with us.
thank you.